Yeah, welcome back to the channel. See you all getting warmed up there. Let's get down the road. I've got some positive stories to tell you today. Too much negativity in the world, isn't there? So I've got some very positive motorcycling stories. So I'll see you down the road. I've got to get some fuel first though, so see you in a minute. Right, there we go, all fueled up. It's amazing actually how rarely I have to visit the fuel station with this bike. One of the beauties of the little CL. Yes, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me again. And as I said, some positive stories, or one at least. Anyway, I don't know about the others. And we're going a different way today as well. I'm not going to the CAF, so we'll do a bit of lane exploring. Now the story I wanted to, well, not the story as such, but just a thing I wanted to talk about was Triumph motorcycles. Now it's not so much, it's a success of Triumph motorcycles actually, but not so much about from within the motorcycle industry itself, but the amount of recognition the brand has got outside of the motorcycle industry and motorcycle press, and there's plenty of positivity about them, obviously, we all know that. But it occurred to me, and I know I've spoken about this a number of times with friends and that, I've had Triumphs in the past, and when I've met people that I don't know, or sorry, that I know but don't know much about motorcycling, often their first reaction if I tell them I've got a bike, or they see my bike, is, when I've got a Triumph this is oh, I didn't know Triumph made bikes still. There seems to be a huge lack of understanding, or realisation, should we say. Oh look, we've got some of our Romany friends here. Lovely. Yeah, a lack of appreciation that the brand even exists, and I find that quite extraordinary. This is a incredible British success story, isn't it? Well, I think it is. And now I know there's a thing about them having the factory in Thailand. Now I get that, but that I think is irrelevant to the fact that the incredible success. We all know the story. John Bloor, who was a guy who had made all his money building houses. Some say, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but some say that he came across the Triumph brand by luck when he bought out some of the land around that area, and that the Triumph brand name came with it. I don't know about that, but anyway, it's irrelevant. But he decided and announced to the world that he was going to reinvent the brand. And I think everyone's, look at the chaos actually that this is creating. those Romanies there in the caravan. Oh dear. Yeah, we're going to turn up here anyway. Oh, road ahead closed. Great. This is going well, isn't it? Yes, John Bloor started the brand up, and I think everyone thought the same thing. This is a rich guy who's made his money in houses, and this is a vanity project for him. It's going to crash and burn. He's going to have some fun, but he's going to blow loads of money on this vanity project, and I'll give it 6 months, or I'll give it 2 years, and it'll be gone. And well, here we are. That was the early 90s, and we're now in 2024, and the global success of Triumph really is a phenomenal thing. Lovely little lane this, by the way. Sorry to go off the subject, but there's as you can see, the canal runs alongside this. Very pretty. It's absolutely phenomenal, and what surprises me, let's just have a little look there. There's the canal. how beautiful, is that people outside of the motorcycle industry don't seem to know that. A lot of them don't even know that it's happened. They don't know nothing about it. Now, I find that odd. I find it's odd, actually, that people like politicians are. It really is dead end, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's pretty terminal. Right, I'll spin round and I'll be back with you. Yeah, what amazes me is that politicians, who usually love a success story to go and get some photo opportunities, you know, standing outside a factory, you would think that would be all over the press, wouldn't you? And whether this has happened in the past, but I've missed it. I've never seen it. And yet another company like Dyson, for instance, with his vacuum cleaners, I've seen, you know, he's a really well-known face, and the story of Dyson vacuum cleaners is well known by everyone. Now I know it's not such a niche market as motorcycles, but nevertheless, you'd really have thought. I mean, I've seen entire documentaries on Dyson vacuum cleaners and the success of that brand, and I just think maybe there should be a little bit more love towards John Bloor and the incredible achievement. Let's be honest, the motor industry, I'll get back to you in a minute. Yes, the motor industry, one of the most tough markets that you could ever imagine breaking into and making a success of with a resurrected brand. And yet look what Triumph's managed to do. It's incredible, really. I just don't think it gets enough recognition. So what do you think about that? Have you seen documentaries on, I'm sure there are, on the resurrection of Triumph, but have they ever been shown on mainstream TV? Have they been lauded by, has the whole thing been lauded by politicians? Maybe local politicians have stood outside the factory and glad-handed people. I don't know, but it just seems to me that you would have expected more. So I say, well done to John Bloor. I don't know you, don't know what sort of guy you are, but my God, you've made a success in an incredibly difficult task of trying to resurrect a famous name in motorcycling, and you've done it in one of the most difficult industries you can possibly get started in. I mean, you did an incredible job, incredible. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, which probably isn't quite as positive, and that's BMWs. I wanted to mention the BMW 1000cc engine. We'll just turn down here. Now you know the one I mean, in the S1000, the 1000RR, the sports bike, the Street Fighter, that engine. It's also used, of course, as the base of their race bike engines, isn't it? Now I've always thought, and I've spoken to a number of people about these, when I've seen them and they've turned up at the CAF or somewhere else, how rattly those engines are. They really rattle. For a 1000cc inline four, really noisy. Is that just me? I don't think it is, because everyone I've spoken to personally has agreed and said, yeah, I think they're really rattly. Especially compared to say a Japanese 1000cc inline four like a Suzuki or Yamaha or Honda. So I was watching some videos this week that cropped up, and it was about a guy in America who's purchased the top of the range one. I don't know what it's called now, it's the M series or something. $40,000 worth, incredible expense, and he's run it in for the requisite mileage, so it's got only about 500 miles on it, and it's exploded. It is literally blown up. There's a problem. It's a long story, and he does this huge video on it, very in depth. I think it's a two-parter. But it seems, from what I could make out, that he is not alone. So I carried on watching another video, which he sort of linked to, another guy that's engine has also exploded at very low mileage, and actually blown a hole in the side of the engine block. Now, that's not unheard of, I know that. But I certainly didn't know this before I'd come across this story, so I thought I'm going to do a bit of research here. So I just googled it, and you can google it yourself. Just google 1000cc BMW engine failure, and oh my gosh, have a look at how many stories there are. Now, anyway, I've read pages and pages of documented evidence on this, the problems that people have had. I've watched probably, well, more than half a dozen videos, and it does seem that there is a real problem with this engine. So I'm wondering, it made me think, is that anything to do with this rattling that I always hear when I hear them? Do you know anything about this engine? Have you got one yourself? Have you had one? Have you got one now? Do you think I'm talking rubbish and there's nothing wrong with it? But why is there so many stories hovering around about the failure of this engine? I'd just like to know what your thoughts on it. So pop up in the comments. I'd like to know your thoughts on anything we talk about on these little jaunts. Pop your ideas in the comments. Now, the other thing that happened this week, we had a lot of rain. So what tends to happen when I get bored after I've hoovered and done everything else around the house, and I thought, I've got to get out of the house, I've had enough, is I go around motorcycle dealers. Now, I'll travel wide and far, quite a distance. I go all over the Midlands, and I delve around into all sorts of different dealerships. And I was at a dealership which was shall we say, a mainstream dealer. It had a couple of, well, 3 mainstream brands, big dealer. And a guy came up to me and said, "Hi, I recognise you." And it was a salesman, and I did indeed recognise him, and I said, "Yes, I know you. I'll connect you with Motor Guzzi, am I right?" He said, "Yep, that's right, I used to work for Motor Guzzi." And I said, "Oh, what brings you here?" And therein he told me a story. And he'd worked for Guzzi for quite a while. But it turns out that apparently Piaggio, who are of course the owner of Guzzi and a number of other brands, have well, I don't know how you describe it, a similar sort of situation to Royal Enfield with their MotoGP debacle that I spoke about in an earlier video. And that is that they've planted or dumped, probably a bit of a harsh word, dumped, but no, I think it is a fair word actually. They seem to have dumped a load of stock into one large dealership in the UK and sold them loads and loads of Guzzis and other Piaggio brand motorcycles at, let's just say, hugely discounted rates, which obviously has peed off, to say the least, other Motor Guzzi dealers. So yeah, it looks as though Piaggio have done exactly the same thing as Royal Enfield. And he was saying to me, I saw the writing on the wall. The company was in a bit of uproar, the dealership he was at, and he said, I thought it's time to get out and go to a more, shall we say, mainstream dealership. So I thought that was rather interesting. Is this going to be a thing that happens a lot? Is it not, obviously not just unique to Royal Enfield? So if you've heard anything about that, please again pop your comments down below. I'd very much like to hear them. So well, this trip's been a bit of a disaster. I didn't plan to go this way at all. And there you go, road closures. And the other thing I just wanted to mention, relating back to the Royal Enfield video that I did, the main thing I was doing, oh, you can see up there quite well. Let me just pull over a second here and I'll show you what this area is all about. Can you see up there? There's a house in the sandstone. I thought you might be able to see there. Yeah, rock houses. There are loads of them around this area. Anyway, Royal Enfield, yes. Now, my main point on Royal Enfield, the only point I was trying to make, in fact, was that I thought they were commensurately priced for what they are. And a lot of people do keep going on about that they're phenomenal value for money, they're ridiculous value for money, and make other manufacturers' bikes look expensive. And I disagree. I don't buy that. And that was my only point, really. I just thought they were correctly priced. So I just wanted to throw this into the mix of that argument. I don't know if it's relevant. I don't know. I haven't really worked it out in my own mind yet whether it's relevant or not. But take the Hunter, the little 350cc Hunter. Now, in this country, it's currently sold for £3,749. I think that's the price. 3,749. Now, just like to ask you a question. How much do you think that the Hunter is sold for in India, in its home market? If we work that out in pounds sterling, how much do you think it is? 3,749 here in the UK. Well, the answer is £1,480. Yeah. I mean, is that relevant at all to the value for money over here? I don't know. But somehow Royal Enfield build the little Hunter, and they sell it, and they obviously make a profit on it in India by selling it for £1,480 equivalent. Now, I don't know whether that's, it's difficult to work out really whether that's relevant or not to the value for money over here, isn't it? Obviously it has to be shipped across the world, and that is a cost involved, of course it is. Does that make, what is it? What is the Hunter's value really? What is its real true value? It's difficult, isn't it? When bikes are made in different countries, different cultures, very difficult to sort of work out the relative values and what is good value for money and what isn't. But I'll leave that with you. Just throw that in there. Right, I think I'll leave it there probably then. Thanks so much for listening to me again, and hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe. I always forget to say that. If you're not subscribed, please do so. I really appreciate it. It'd be great to have you along, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.